Andrew Druzwicki. I'd like to call the Board of Review to order September 1st, 2021 at 9:01 a.m. Jennifer, if you would please call the roll.
James Jaworowicz is excused today. Michael Braswell.
Present.
Donald Reed.
Here.
Jerry Willahowski.
Present.
Andrew Druzwicki.
Present. Mr. Groda, I think I'll hand it directly over to you for the responses or what you would like to do going forward.
Sure. We have three properties that were held over from the previous Board of Review. The idea was to send subpoenas to these three parties so that we could get some more factual information than previously provided. And in deciding whether to issue a waiver or to request a waiver from Board of Review. To my knowledge, all three subpoenas were sent. Two of those were returned. One was not returned. Apparently, it was never received as it went to a spam folder and wasn't addressed. We've had continued dialogue, with all three parties, specifically property number 1 on our list, which is the Heritage Square Healthcare Center. That property was reviewed in more dialogue between our office and the owner's rep, Mr. Ardern. And I guess at this point, I was unable to print our printers down upstairs. We have a meeting of the minds on that particular property. The total assessed value at present is $7,938,400. We have an agreement in principle that I would request to present as a stipulated value to this board at $7,538,300. So there would be a proposed reduction of $400,000.
Do you want me to just enter the tax key number and some of the information on that one?
Do you want us to take a vote on these as we go through them, Andrew? Otherwise, I'll make a motion that we accept.
Yeah, I think we can just make the motion.
I would like to make a motion that we accept the stipulated value on the property.
And I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Jerry Willahowski, a second by Andrew Druzwicki to accept the assessor's stipulated value on the property. If I'm just going to enter the property information to the record here, and that would be for 5404 West Loomis Road, Greendale, Wisconsin 53129. Tax key 64800190003, and that stipulated value is $7,538,300. I will now call the roll. Michael Braswell.
Aye.
Donald Reed.
Aye.
Jerry Willahowski.
Aye.
Andrew Druzwicki.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Good. Then on the two remaining properties where the subpoenas were issued, received, and there was responses, it would be, in my opinion, that we received a good portion of the information that was requested, and thereby would ask the board to approve a waiver from Board of Review for each of those two remaining properties. Lakeshore Medical Clinic and then the Aurora Clinic at 9000 Shura Lane.
I'm fine with that, as long as anyone else has other questions for that.
Should we take them each separately? Okay.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion. We accept the assessor's opinion with regard to tax key 6001001-000, that we waive the property to circuit court.
And I'll second.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Jerry Willahowski and a second by Andrew Juzwicki. I will now call the roll. Michael Braswell,
Aye.
Donald Reed,
Aye.
Jerry Willahowski,
Aye.
Andrew Juzwicki.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
And I'd also like to make a motion with regard to the 9,000 Searle Lane property, tax key 606-9980-013, that we also waive the property to circuit court.
And I'll second.
Motion by Jerry Willahowski, second by Andrew Juzwicki. I will now call the roll. Michael Braswell,
Aye.
Donald Reed,
Aye.
Jerry Willahowski,
Aye.
Andrew Juzwicki.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. If there isn't any other business, we can recess.
Okay, Jennifer, I'll call for a recess then, if there's no other business.
Okay, and for the record, we are going to take a short recess to prepare the paperwork to get to the post office. It is now 9:09 a.m. Okay, so we'll run this over. Are you going to have a stipulation then?
Yes, I will, once I can print that out, I'll get Mr. Ardern's signature, my signature, I'll present that as, and that you can put as part of the record.
Okay, and so nothing to mail to him today?
I will email that to him, which I believe should suffice as sufficient notice.
Okay.
And then he'll sign that, return it.
Sounds good. Then these other two, we're gonna go get these waivers to the post office.
Great.
But I've gotta have,
Me
forgot,
that
gotta have
you're
him sign
considering
these
email
first. Gotta be done right.
The attorney's here.
All right. Okay, Andrew, I forgot,
Snail
I've gotta
mail.
have
I mean,
you sign,
it's a
so this
federal.
is the waiver.
Yeah, I think that was Tim that I saw out there. He-
Now, is
they
email
Wait.
considered a
migrate
legal
Old server.
Let's have
forwarding
Mike sign.
service to present?
I think they got all the other offices
Not,
up and running,
not
but
generally unless you
our office was out
specifically agree
yesterday,
with
This-
and he was up there
Typically our,
early this
This is for the
morning
Loomis
working on
Road.
it. So,
agent form,
Chairperson is down there, and then
that they
date.
sign when they, I'm an agent
And-
allows for
Yeah.
email.
We had
put it
these
in there.
prepared months
That's
ago.
interesting that one guy would say he didn't get it because it was spammed. It's like,
Yeah,
wow,
it's
I'd
kind of an
recheck your spam
afterthought.
filter, dude.
to sync
All the
everything all
excuses,
up, and that
I
happens
mean,
all over.
it happens, I get things that go to
To
my
us
spam
because
folder.
We're
that are
the lowest
not
on that
spam.
food chain, because
Probably
we're rarely
once a
seen,
week
rally heard
that's
from.
Something
So,
that's.
This one
he's
is for
on
the
it.
Sura,
Yeah.
9,000 Sura Lane.
Be all
But
set.
I also check
I just
over
couldn't
and get
fix it
my-
myself.
at least once a week, if not
Signature
more,
too.
just to make sure, so.
I don't know, common sense would tell you,
And it works, it's awesome.
using the
when
term
stuff
common sense loosely,
break in connection
that you
and-
would check your spam emails if you're in business, because stuff like that does tend to slide in there from time to time.
Yeah, it,
No, I've gotta
yeah,
come see
the other
you,
problem with
'cause,
that excuse
yeah,
is,
I've never
you know,
got an
I
idea,
think a lot of people just use it as the.
because I've always been here. when
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
life
I just found it
less
in my
or
spam folder.
hammer,
Kinda like
somebody
my
was
dog ate my homework type of
right.
thing, yeah.
jumping and- Okay,
I just wondered whether it was considered legal, but if you said they agree to it, it's,
We'll get those
okay.
over certified for our waivers.
Yeah, well, thankfully they reached an agreement.
yeah, that's great.
Didn't have to make a hard decision.
Anything like them to get too big.
Well, I think they probably thought it over and thought, well, maybe it's not worth the fight. And if you get a stipulation for, 400,000 or 500,000, it's, hey,
Well, it sounded like the real issue was maybe the condition of the property was,
The building's for sale for $1.5 million.
I know, isn't that something? It's like, you're gonna get so much.
yeah, sounded like the receiver is not done the upkeep on it, so.
But that's the area where the city owns the surrounding properties, correct?
Yep. Yeah, that's correct.
So that stands to be a big boon if it gets developed properly, I would think.
Well, I thought that the city was gonna try and buy that building out in Levelland, considering what the larger project that they are trying to do over there is.
Oh, with hotels and stuff?
Yeah, the Cobalt Partners development, which is $100-something million, if I remember correctly. That building's gonna be vacated and be sold for nothing. Significantly more expensive than the land that they bought from the Department of Transportation, but
Well, I'm surprised they buried that skateboard bowl years ago, and now they're resurrecting it. It's like, wow, that's amazing. Usually they destroy that stuff when they redevelop properties and hopefully that doesn't become a gathering spot for troublemakers once they reopen. I just got back from Vegas on Saturday. That place amazes me.
how'd you fare? Isn't it like 120 degrees outside every day?
No, it was, to be honest with you, it was like 104, 106. But getting back here on Friday night late, Saturday was even more uncomfortable here than it was out there at 106. Because the humidity just takes your breath away around here. But no, a lot of the stuff is still shuttered out there. And they're crying for help all over. Everybody's short-staffed out there.
Where was it, in Vegas?
Yeah. On the Strip. I mean, we went to that Top Golf one day to hit some balls, and they had a hiring seminar, and kids were just lined up, and they let them in, and I'm sure all of them got jobs. But you could pretty much take your pick of what you wanted to do in that city and probably walk off with a job same day.
Yeah, I think, seeing some rearranging of the employment market.
I don't think you can't go anywhere in any store that doesn't have a sign up asking for help. It's like, I just remember back when I was a teenager, it's like you had to go out and beg for a job. Now it's like, you walk in and you're breathing. It's like, hey, you're hired, $15 an hour.
Well, and even the teenagers, so many of them now are told that, you just can't get a job. You gotta, either, do something in the field that you wanna, go into, or to, start a nonprofit so it looks good on your college application, or
That's flippin' ridiculous if you ask me.
whatever.
But Nevada has a mandate that every public or every building you go into, you're supposed to wear a mask. And there was nobody fighting it out at all. It's like, it was understood you wear your mask or you're out.
Did you see it on TV last night? Racine passed it, you have to have a mask.
Mhm.
What that, did you see that guy on there?
Yeah,
I own that, no.
yeah, it's,
So don't
like
know,
I said,
you
some
arrest
people
him when
should
you
just
in
be
there or what?
slapped in the head. I'm sorry. Same thing on the airlines. Nobody fights it. They put a mask on and they keep their mouth shut. Even the airline flight attendants, thank you for cooperating. This has been the best flight ever. Nobody caused any trouble. You all found your seats. And the gate next to ours coming back, the flight was going to Nashville. And it was a plane for 104 people, but they only had 35 people flying. So the guy at the gate says, well, we only have 35 people on a plane that has a capacity of 104. So let's not be stupid when we get on. I guess they can't duct tape people to their seats now if they cause trouble. I thought that was rather a nice thing to do. Somebody gets disruptive, duct tape them to their seat.
Well, if you want to fly to New Zealand, before you're allowed there, you have to have a 10-day period.
And
Trip.
aren't you sequestered there for like 14 days after you arrive?
10 days before you can return. So if you want to go there for 10 days, it's a 30-day trip
Yeah.
or longer.
We had planned on going to New Zealand and Australia in February, but the countries were closed to any outsiders, so there was, forget it. You weren't getting in, you weren't getting out. And I hear Australia, their vaccine rate is like 10% of the population down there, and they have a major outbreak, and they closed their borders to outsiders again. So my wife and I just keep pushing this trip back and back and back. It's going to be 3 years now.
You want to go see the Australian Open, huh?
No, we were going to go to New Zealand, Australia, and Fiji in February.
Okay.
But like I said, that trip was canceled, so we put it off to next year. But now that's not even looking like it might be possible because of the countries being closed. And
Even my kid now, he goes to boarding school, grandson, out in Boston.
running
He shows up today,
to the post
and
office.
he's gotta be in his room until Tuesday morning, then they check him,
yeah,
make sure
yeah.
he's gotta be that long, him and his wife are gonna be quarantined in a room. Before he can show up for school.
Your daughter starts school today too, right, Jennifer?
Yeah, she starts middle school.
Ooh, big day.
Yeah, they did a nice job. The end of the school year last year, they had an orientation at night where parents could go with kids, and then they had this whole map of the school, and then you did like a treasure hunt. So you got to see where's the library, and then, where's the gym, where's the cafeteria, where's the classrooms. And then at each stop, you met a teacher, and you got like a sticker or brochure, or there was
Nice.
the school officer handed out your locker lock and stuff. And then this year they did orientation on Thursday and Monday where you could go and drop your stuff off in your classroom in your locker and pick up your Chromebook and meet your teachers. And yeah, they get one Chromebook for 4 years. I bought the insurance policy because if they break it, then,
Well, for sure.
how they throw their backpacks around and stuff.
Well, that or just leave it lay someplace and walk off and
Yeah, and so that was really nice too. So they got to walk, they got their schedule, and they got to actually walk their schedule and meet their teachers.
Nice.
But then they get sidetracked with all their friends. It's like, okay, let's get do you remember where you go from here? And so,
See, when I went to middle school, most nervous thing that made me most nervous was the lock on my locker. It's like, oh, am I gonna remember the combination? And then you get a gym locker with another combination. It's like,
oh, that's funny. I said when I was a kid, it was kind of like your schedule got mailed to you. You go on your first day and figure it out. Didn't have all of this.
well, we got ours when we got there for the first day in
Oh.
our homeroom. It's like, well, here's your schedule, and it's like, oh,
A few
God.
months in high school when I was a freshman, I didn't want a locker because at the time I didn't need one. I get called down to the office, told you're serving a Saturday detention because you never filled out a locker card. And I try to tell the people at the desk that I don't need one. And evidently that wasn't good
It's
enough.
not possible.
So
You have to
here
have
I
it.
am, the following Saturday, sitting at the school for 5 hours, wondering what I'm doing here.
Wow, a real lawbreaker.
Wow.
Seeing you in a whole new light now.
Yeah.
A rebel without a
I will
locker.
never forget that. I
No
I
kidding.
could not understand why adults couldn't make a decision.
And it started you on your path to being
That's
a
really quite
contrarian since, huh?
harsh.
Well,
That's quite
here's
harsh.
the scary part for you is you talk about whether you're gonna remember it. So we had, my school, you had to buy the locks yourselves and bring them.
Oh, well, that's cheating.
So I had the same lock for the 3 years of high school, because high school was 3 years at the time. So I had the same lock for the 3 years. I still remember both combinations.
Oh my gosh, that's
I,
great.
believe it or not, I still remember mine from high school too. It's like I could look at it and it would just pop into my head.
Wow.
Same thing with my football locker, because I had a third lock on my football locker.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like I could look at them and the numbers would just pop into my head. But if somebody asked me, well, what's your locker? I wouldn't have the foggiest idea.
Yeah. Wow.
But no, I still remember my high school locker. But
Good.
the school provided the locks, but you could keep it for 3 years. And then the incoming sophomores, because we had 3-year high school back then too, was a senior high
Oh yeah.
because of the population and the size of the school and stuff. But yeah, that was something.
Yeah. Thank
But
you.
that was
Lockers, we
the
didn't
thing that
even
made
have
me
a
most nervous was the lock
Locker.
in middle school.
That's, I told my daughter when we got it, I said, you can start, I think in July, here's your lock, start practicing. And memorize your number so that you're ready to go. So,
But no, I had friends who wrote it and put it in their sock, and it's like, you're gonna take your shoes off to get your locker open.
oh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Class, we
Mr.
just-
Rebel here, no locker. Did you,
That's
did you
funny.
finally take out a locker then, or?
No, I didn't. It was never brought up again. Junior year.
What do
I
we
was-
have Andrew in here for? Hey, didn't take out a locker.
Junior year, I was the only student walking around with a laptop at the time. I was, 4 or 5 years ahead of my time at that point, where I just had everything loaded on there. I hated carrying books, I hated doing. And I consolidated everything to that, and they let me do it. So now, everyone has a Chromebook.
Yeah. And you're going, I told you so.
There was no such thing as a
I
computer.
know. right?
Even a calculator when I was in high school.
When I left high school.
You had your slide rule, and that was
next
it.
freshman class, that was the first year they started handing out Chromebooks or whatever type of device that they started handing out, all the students got one. And it's continued on since. Prior to that, we were still using pen and paper.
Yeah.
My gym class, Kosciuszko, there was no such a lock. You went in a gym class, you picked out a locker, put it your clothes, and there was no lock on the, wow.
No, see, we had a basket that we put our gym clothes in, and then you put your lock on it.
There were no locks. You
So-
just put it in a locker and,
But then you had to make sure your shoes were on the outside, because when they had basketball games and the visiting team used the lockers, if they saw clothing hanging out, they'd pull out your gym shorts or your gym shirt and steal it.
Oh my.
So you had to make sure your shoes were on the outside of the basket so no one could get the socks or anything else.
Wow.
Yeah, the ways of the world back in the 60s.
I think they just keep making it nice. It seems like they keep making it nicer for kids, like easier, they think of better.
Well, it's the parents that were traumatized by all the stuff that
Probably
went on. It's
why.
like, I don't want my kids to have to go through that garbage.
Yep, that's probably why.
It's amazing how the price of computers have dropped.
I know.
It's like, wow, I wonder they can hand these out to kids.
My husband was saying, I think when he first went to college, it was like $2,000 or $3,000 he paid for his first computer. He needed it for college. He's like, that was so expensive. And now they've just come down so much.
Yeah, I saw it in the paper today. Was $317 at Milwaukee Computer for a laptop.
It's crazy, isn't it? We still can't believe in our lifetime seeing the rise and fall of like Blockbuster. You know, you go rent a movie and then it's like all of a sudden no more.
My biggest shock
All in,
was
like-
these stupid things. When they first came out, the TI, what was it, 32 or 16? It was like $100 and some, and then technology started really taking off, and you could buy one like 2 years later for $10.
Yeah, it's crazy.
1948 at junior high, you had to add number 2 pencil, and that was it. Now, holy Christ. Oh, man. Things have changed.
And they changed quickly, too. That's really the remarkable thing. Yeah, the big thing for all the jocks was taking typing class. So we'd all be sitting in there typing away. You'd have one or
Oh,
two
there she is.
girls
Thank you, Trina.
in the class, and they'd just be going crazy, 60 words a minute, and the guys would be like 3 or 4 words per minute.
All right, our waivers have been mailed. So I will start your recording.
All right. I believe everything's been mailed. Is that correct, Jennifer?
That is correct.
Okay, so if there are no other matters properly before the board, then I will call for adjournment for this year.
I second that motion.
Motion by Andrew Juzwicki, a second by Jerry Willahowski, as we came back in session at 9:30, and there's a motion to adjourn. Sine die for the year. I will now call the roll. Michael Braswell,
Aye.
Donald Reed,
Aye.
Jerry Willahowski,
Aye.
Andrew Juzwicki.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.